This story talks about the connection of two souls, feelings, and loneliness, concept that describe us as human beings. Could you tell me more about it?
Just like you said, I think it is a really complex story about what it is to be a human being. And I think what's really wonderful is that, it's a story of young people, but yet it doesn't trivialize those feelings when you are young. When you feel heartbreak for the first time, it's a really awful feeling. And also you do feel all these levels of darkness as you grow up. And I think it's a really truthful, honest portrayal. What's the word? Portrayal.
Yeah.
Truthful, honest portrayal of what it is to grow up and also to be in a relationship with someone.
Normal People is, the adaptation of Sally Rooney's bestseller. This means that thousands and thousands of people know the story. Have you ever felt pressure to take these characters?
Yes. I think when there is those volume of people who have such strong relationships to the characters themselves, and then when you're kind of thrust into the position where you are representing that character in a visual setting, it definitely adds pressure.
In case of Marianne, it's a complex character. She speaks very calmly, she faces her problems, at the same time shows her strong personality. However, she also learns hard lessons in love, and that destroy her heart. How did you prepare for the changes that your character suffers?
It was tricky because I think Marianne, she goes through a very big kind of growth throughout those 4 years, and obviously we didn't film in order, so tracking the kind of ripple effect of small moments in their lives and how that ultimately shapes them as they grow up was quite tricky because we weren't able to film directly from Sligo to Trinity to the end of the series. So but I'd say, I was so lucky to have the book as a reference because Sally writes such an incredibly detailed depiction of their inner lives. But also it's really amazing because you don't just have their inner lives on the page, you also have the way that your character comes across to the other. So in Connell's chapters, I could read them and say, okay, so he describes as Marianne's eyes burning into the back of his head. Okay, so she uses a lot of eye contact and stuff like that. So it was amazing, and we were really lucky to have such brilliant directors to kind of guide us and help us reach those points. But it was tricky trying to flesh that out.
Paul, you really look like a pro on the soccer field, but you also have melancholic moments that your character demands. What was the hardest part of shooting Normal People?
I think probably playing somebody who on the surface appears to be quite masculine, but inherently is far more complicated than the kind of stereotypical thing that he presents. I think that's something that's interesting, but also is challenging because I think that there's a lot more of those people in the world than we think. There's a lot of people that present as jocks, but ultimately nobody actually is that stereotype. And I think, I felt a real privilege getting to kind of play a kind of multifaceted character who's going through, as you said, all of those things.
I realize that many dramatic moments are resolved with few dialogues and more with body language and ambient sound. Marianne and Connell communicate in different ways. Was there much concentration behind these scenes? What is the secret?
That's something I really love about the series, is that a lot of moments are translated in silent moments, like when Marianne is reading a book or looking out the window, or Connell is walking through Dublin. And I think what it really allows the audience to do is it puts it on them to empathise with our characters rather than feeling we ever need to over-explain how our characters feel.